So Dairyland began its environmental stewardship program back in 1994, and the establishment of the native prairie here at our Genoa site was one of the main components of that. And a lot of folks will ask, well, why does Dairyland do these things? Why is it important to Dairyland projects? So it's really good from a community relations standpoint and educating people in the community on the importance of pollinator habitat and the plight of the pollinators, and it's really been a really good marriage between industry and conservation with what Dairyland's done. So at that time, we did a little out-of-the-box thinking. We talked to Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and told them what we'd really like to do is to seed it with the variety of different prairie grasses and forbs and establish a natural prairie. We've got a really nice mature prairie out here, provides habitat for a number of different birds. There's a number of insects and butterflies, so it's been a really good project.
My name is Ben Campbell, and I'm an environmental biologist with Dairyland Power. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our Bluff Prairie habitat. In 2018, we entered 110 acres of that bluff land into a conservation easement with a local conservation group. If you remove the nuisance species, the grass and the pollinator plants and habitat will grow. So we want to go in and cut and remove those trees, open the prairie up so that the natural seed bank that's already there will start growing and producing pollinator habitat. We have done several burns on the site. Several years ago we conducted a burn just to help widen out that prairie some more. Since 2007 we put in about 5 acres of habitat at 3 different substations with the idea of, instead of doing mowing and just putting in a lot of maintenance otherwise into it, we would develop it into a pollinator habitat or a pollinator plot. One problem that we have at these sites, since it's close to residential area, we'll actually get people throwing their yard waste into our prairie, which doesn't sound like a big deal until you realize the grass clippings and potential grass seed comes right back in, and we're trying to get rid of that. So that's been some growing pains with just the patience, and it takes 3 to 5 years to get your prairie looking good. So what we've talked about today mostly focuses on specific projects that Dairyland's actively managing for pollinator habitat. We do have power purchase agreements with several solar farms or solar arrays, and usually when we enter into a power purchase agreement with those entities, we like to make sure that they're gonna have so many acres of pollinator habitat and that they have a management plan associated with their solar farm.
One of the species that has really gotten a lot of press the last few years has been the Monarch Butterfly. And we've seen a really large decline in the breeding population of monarchs the last few years. And that's where an effort like this really comes into play. We've got a number of milkweeds that are planted out here. We see a number of monarchs every year. So this is a really good tool and something that people can do on their own. That you don't need to do a big, large-scale pollinator plot like this. This is something that you can do in your own backyard. Put in a few nectar plants and get some milkweed in there, and the habitat like that certainly benefits the monarch butterfly, but there's also so many other species that can benefit from that. One that we've got in this area is the rusty patch bumblebee. That's another listed species that, again, these pollinator habitats are very valuable for. So something that really anybody can get involved in and do on a small scale on your own property as well.
When I started at Dairyland, I never thought that part of my job would be involved with stewardship programs such as working on restoring pollinator habitat. I had no experience with pollinators and really not much information. And since being part of Dairyland and working with EPRI as one of our founding members of the Power and Pollinators program, I've learned a lot about pollinators and hope to learn a lot more.
There's certain permits and compliance actions that utilities like Dairyland have to abide by and things that we have to do. But these projects go above and beyond that, and that's the question that we get. Well, what are you doing above and beyond what you're required to do? And that's where projects like the pollinator plots come in. So it's really, in the end, been a nice marriage between industry and conservation with some of the activities that we do like this.
We're really lucky here at Dairyland that they allow us to do stewardship programs. All the stuff we mentioned today, and we have other stewardship programs that we're not required to do by any federal or state law. We're not required to do any of it, but we'd like to go above and beyond and do something for the environment in the communities that we do business. So we're lucky that Dairyland supports that. We have great management that allows us and to continue doing the work and also to look for new opportunities to do stewardship in the communities that we serve.